Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyle, community and neighborhoods. And now from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Welcome back, Dorothy. Thanks for, I loved hearing your voice at the opening of the show.
Oh, good.
We diverged a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I think your voice is more familiar to me.
Okay, good.
And I think probably to our listeners. And again, I'm going to do this 3rd week in a row, but then I'll forget it. The show is now being broadcast on 104.1 FM.
That's right.
In addition to 97.3 FM and 990 AM.
Yep.
And the reason being, 104.1 captures our Sanford audience.
Yes.
West End audience.
Yep.
How am I doing?
Pretty good.
Okay, and there's a reason I bring it up again, and I mentioned Sanford first and foremost.
Yes, we got a good guest in the studio today.
Yeah, we have a great guest. She's one of our favorite guests, and
I'm sure.
I would take her and Michael Irwin from last week, who came on and spoke very passionately about Father Capodanno High School, and I would put the two of them up against any two people in the last 9 years that we've had to come on the show, and I'm speaking about Peggy Taphorn, who is the Artistic Director at the Temple Theater, and she's here to talk about the 2018-2019 main stage season, which is a celebration of our storied past. And as usual, Peggy, good morning, and it's great to have you back.
Good morning, Bill. Thank you for having me back.
You're right at the point where you're ready to kick off your season and a lot of shows to talk about, but a lot of programs, too. Just
Exactly.
a lot.
Right. Well, we just wrapped up our summer season of youth programming, and this year we did 6 youth camps over the summer and served about 280 kids in the last 10 weeks, and we're really excited about attendance and things we've accomplished. You know, we had some new camps this summer. We did an advanced camp for 8 to 12-year-olds. That was a big hit. And we're continuing our Rising Stars for the little ones, age 4 to 7-year-olds. And that had increased enrollment over last year by about double in each week camp. And then, of course, we did our big camps, which had between 46 and 56 kids in it, ages 8 to 18. And this past summer, it was Aladdin Jr., the musical. So they really filled the place with great music and dancing. And then our advanced camps, our Shakespeare camp, because we try to do Shakespeare in the park like they do in the big city.
Right.
But this year it was kind of Shakespeare in the swamp because of all the rain.
Right.
So we moved it inside, and the kids did a fabulous job adjusting, thinking on their feet, going from the outside venue to the inside venue. And they did a wonderful job with handling the language of Shakespeare. And then we also did an advanced musical theater camp of Into the Woods. So we were busy.
Yeah, and you covered the ages of 4 to 18.
Exactly.
Which, Dorothy, isn't that coincidental? How many shows do you think in the last year we've had in Moore County about the arts?
I'd say almost like 90% of them, it seems like. Every time I turn around, you're doing something about the arts.
The students are sometimes more interesting than adults.
Of course they are.
When they come on as guests. And I can't help but think of Callie McIntyre, who came on, and she brought the cast of Addams Family.
Yes.
I guess the point I'm trying to make is the arts are alive and well in Moore County.
Absolutely.
And they're alive and well in Sanford at the Temple Theater.
And we had a lot of Moore County kids
bet you did.
participate this past summer.
Yeah. Kids, they need something to do in the summer. They need somewhere to go and to explore and to learn.
Right. And it's really wonderful to see the kids grow and blossom and come out of their shell and form lifelong friendships and make memories. As theater teaches not only the theatrical skills, but 21st century life skills. A lot of times kids don't really interact with each other anymore these days because you don't have to.
It's exactly the conversation we had with Michael from last week. He said when he was a kid, if he didn't get invited to a party, he would find out about it on Monday when he went back to school.
Exactly.
And today, what happens?
You find out but while the party's happening.
That's exactly right.
Right. Well, we make our summer camps a phone-free zone. So imagine, if you will, teenagers who have to go without their cell phones for 8 hours a day. It is the ultimate in teen torture.
Right.
And yet they learn and grow. And it was a wonderful experience to see by the end of 2 weeks how the kids not only didn't miss having their phones on them constantly, didn't miss checking Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook constantly, but also we're then relating to each other.
Right. Eyeball
And if
to
you have a
eyeball.
problem with somebody, you have to address it and work it out.
Right.
And that's a life skill that will get you ahead in any situation, not just in theater.
What is it, the school, what do you want the kids from 4 to 18 to get? Because most of these kids who do this, they might not be going on to a career in theater.
Sure.
But what do you want them to get out of the camps?
A lot of it is teaching self-confidence.
Right.
And also very valuable life lessons. You know, not everybody can be Jasmine in Aladdin. So if you have 56 kids in the show,
Right.
there's only one Jasmine.
That's
so
right.
if you're a soldier or a guard or one of Aladdin's friends, those are just as important. And you can flourish in having a smaller role, but being supportive of everybody else. And so we really try to teach, again, self-confidence, teamwork, group effort. You know, sometimes you're the star, sometimes you're the guy sweeping the stage after the performance.
The stagehands.
That's right.
But that's also a job and a responsibility.
Exactly. And we make it a safe environment. Everybody's welcome, you know, irregardless of sexual orientation or color or creed. You're welcome. Level of experience. You know, we really do audition these kids the first day of camps. For our camps are really production oriented. And so we have auditions the first day, so they know the second day what role they have.
Right.
And then they have to adapt and adjust. And we really work hard on those theatrical skills as well as team building. You know, theater's a team sport. And how to get along with people. Again, when you take away a kid's cell phone, you teach them how to speak eloquently. You teach
Right.
them how to problem solve. You teach them how to be leaders. And those are the skills that we hope that they leave with, as well as and self-esteem boost, because a lot of kids these days, although they're inundated with information and attention is constant, you know, they don't really feel like part of something.
Mm-hmm.
And so we offer them a safe place to feel part of a family,
Right.
in a group effort to achieve certain goals, and the joy that can bring, whether you're the lead or the guy sweeping the stage.
There's a little bit of an element of tough love in what you say, because not every kid gets to win the lead.
That's right.
Some kids come in 5th place.
Right.
And that's okay, but kids learn from not just their victories, but they learn from their what they perceive as setbacks.
Exactly.
But they're
Well, how many
growing.
lessons I think as humans we learn, I
Yeah.
know in my experience, you learn much more
Right.
and much more viscerally from things that didn't quite go as planned
That's right.
than you do from your successes.
That's right.
And it's those so-called failures that you tend to remember. I think as humans, we're a little negative based.
Yeah.
So if you get 80 compliments and one person says, I don't like the way you look, you know, that's the one you remember.
You pay attention
Yeah,
to
exactly. So this way we try to enforce the good points of everything and what you bring to it. Again, not everybody can be Jasmine, but you can be the best guard from the left that you can be, and be proud of your achievements and be proud of yourself and get positive feedback. But sometimes you have to just be proud of yourself, and that's enough.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that you had a bunch of Moore County students attending some of the camps this summer. How do you recruit outside of Sanford into Moore County, for instance?
Well, one of the great success stories of the Temple is, and I just did a state grant report, so I'm full of statistics, is that last season we pulled in over 41,000 people to the Temple.
Wow.
From 63 different counties of North Carolina. And of that 41,000, 11,000 were youth under the age of 18. So obviously what we're doing is our best advertisement is word of mouth.
Right.
And second best, we really do reach out to schools at the beginning of the year, like now is the prime time.
Right.
And we do student matinees throughout the year. That's usually people's first entree into the temples. They'll come with a school group or a homeschool group
Right.
to see one of our main stage shows. And that's where they can then find out more information about our year-round academy classes, which we teach, again, from ages 4 till death, the final curtain. Because this year we're actually adding adult classes to our year-round academy classes. And then you can always check out our website, which is templeshows.com, and our Facebook page. And that's where you get the most up-to-the-minute information about what's going on at the temple. But really our best advertisement are kids that have done it in the past, or perhaps an older sibling who now is bringing their younger sibling to participate.
And isn't the middle school age, when you get those kids between 13 and 15, those kids are like they're deciding, they're on the cusp, but they're going this way or they're going that
Exactly.
way. Who are they going to be?
That's right. And honestly, Bill, I've found it's happening younger now.
Yeah.
It's really like the 11, 12, 13-year-olds
Right.
is when you decide, in our experience, if you're going to be a decent human being or not. You know what I mean? Not necessarily what your career is going to be, but what your attitude's going to be and where you're going to put your effort. You know, are you going to be passionate about X, Y, or Z? Are you going to be a truthful person? Are you going to be a team player? Those decisions are made a lot earlier.
Right.
It seems maturity has been put off a little bit because, you know, in my generation, you graduated high school
Right.
and your parents gave you a set of luggage for graduation and you were gone. You know, these days, parents are much more active in their kids' lives into their mid-20s.
Right.
Well, by your mid-20s of my generation, you were married and sometimes married and divorced already, but you were an adult. So even though adulthood seems to be happening a little bit later, your maturity and life-affecting decisions about personality and where you're going to put your efforts in life seem to happen younger. So it's a difficult, childhood has always been difficult, but now, as you said, instantaneously you find out if you're popular or not.
Right.
You know, you find out if you've been invited to the party. You find out if you're got a good grade or not instantly.
Yeah.
So it's just shifting a little bit.
There's a lot of information. Kids are on overload.
Right.
And at the same time, they are not developing those social skills
Right.
that we had to develop as kids.
And decision making,
Yeah.
which is another one of the theatrical skills that we teach. You know, are you going to invest in this effort or not? Are you going to commit yourself to be here for 8 hours a day without whining about not having your cell phone or not? You know, are you going to interact with the kids or are you going to stay with the two kids that you already know? You know, so making decisions on your own without a parent or a teacher pushing you
Right.
seems to be new. Which for us, you know, the kids, your mom said, go out and play and come back when the street light turns on.
Right.
And in between those hours, you were making decisions.
Right.
Now parents make decisions for their children, it seems, all the time.
Right.
So it's just a little different.
I grew up in an era where if you were a guy and you played sports, you got all the benefit from team effort. Everything was, it seemed like it was male oriented. Today, that's not the case anymore. But I see that all the young ladies who are very active and courageous in theater, they get the same concept of team and spirit, that they did something together.
Exactly.
And it's something they'll never forget, not unlike an athletic team.
Right. Well, I tell our kids, and particularly our teens that are interested in going into theater, that to be in the theater successfully, you have to be an athlete. You have to train constantly.
Right.
I still take class. I still go to the gym 6 days a week. I still have to keep my chops up. You have to train your brain because memorizing, 87 pages of dialogue as you age gets more and more difficult. So you have to keep yourself physically and mentally flexible, like an athlete.
I noticed that you participated yourself in a lot of the shows, a lot of the productions last year, more so than I remember from the past. Is that true?
I was in one last year.
Okay.
But I ended up having to direct and choreograph several more than I had expected because, unfortunately, people that had been signed on to do those jobs had a myriad issues and couldn't come. But this year, thankfully, I'm directing 2 out of the 7. Last year, I directed 5 out of the 7, which is a little much.
So if people saw a picture of you on your program, which we're going to go through, which we don't see, underneath it, we could say chief multitasker.
Exactly. Which
professional
is
juggler.
theater skill that we teach the kids.
Right. Business skills.
Right.
Theatrical skills. You're the glue that oh my gosh, you are absolutely the catalyst of the Temple Theater and all the things you have to manage, you do behind. You're like the swan that is on the water and very graceful and sleek above water. But what's going on below is all the paddling and the flutter and the work.
Exactly.
But you're always like the swan up on top.
It's funny that you say swan because I use that analogy too, but I say duck
Duck,
because
yeah.
my first experience in theater, in the show business, I was 4 years old and I knew that I was going to be the swan. We were doing the ballet of the Ugly Duckling. And I was devastated because I was a duck. But But again, Mom said, well, you're a duck this time. Maybe you'll be a swan next time. And I was the best little gold duck I could be at 4 years old. But that's the memory that I remember. You know what I mean? I still have that feeling of disappointment, but then of just, okay, I'll be a good duck.
Yeah.
We're
setting a nice benchmark to segue into the main stage season in the second set. But what the Temple Theater does, in addition to the productions that you put on each year, and you've been doing this for how many years now?
I'm in my 11th season.
Yeah, and you took a business that was, you've grown the business significantly and taken a theater that at the time the economy was not so favorable to undertaking what you undertook, but now you have the connection with the youth, with the education,
right?
Touching a lot of people's lives, whether it's to be entertained or for them to learn life skills.
Exactly.
Pretty impressive.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Our guest is Peggy Taphorn. She's the artistic director, chief bottle washer, multitasker, and juggler of the Temple Theater. And we're going to come back in the second set. We're going to talk about the 2018-2019 main stage season, and specifically about some of the productions that start as early as this September. This is All Things Moore County. We'll be right back. Welcome back to All Things Moore County. Our guest for the entire show is Artistic Director Peggy Taphorn of the Temple Theater, the iconic Temple Theater in nearby Sanford. She's been a frequent guest on the show and always one of our most interesting. We're going to get into the meat of some of the new productions this year, but you wanted to just keep following up a little bit on the youth
yes,
the camps and such.
We are having our main stage youth opportunity auditions on September 15th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., and you have to sign up for a time slot. So any kid between the ages of 8 and 19 can audition again at September 15th from 10 to 3. You can go to templeshows.com for audition information, but they need to prepare a song, a very short 36 bars of a song, a short monologue, and we will have a dance combination. And we have main stage opportunities for 3 of the shows next season that I will mention. So we're excited about that.
Give me that website again.
templeshows.com.
Okay, we'll make sure we post that in the podcast. Let people go on, because they can get on your website everything that you have on this gorgeous brochure that you brought in.
Absolutely.
To look at the upcoming season. It kicks off next month.
Right.
In September.
Yeah, we are already gearing up. We've had production meetings. We are kicking off the season in September with 1776, the musical, which is a show I have wanted to produce my entire tenure here because I just love it. And I figure a midterm election year is as good a time as any.
Yeah.
We're not inundated with politics, but it's in the air. And 1776 is based on the Second Continental Congress, where they drafted the Declaration and signed the Declaration of Independence. And so that's really ties into a lot of our youth training and programming. And this one's a great example of bringing history to life, because a lot of the dialogue, it is a musical, and lyrics to the songs are taken from transcripts of the Continental Congress. You know, there are things that are dramatized and musicalized, but it's really interesting way to learn some history.
Yeah, and it would be a great way to get some people to stop watching Fox and CNN in today's political
and
world.
To see what we're celebrating. You know, I mean, I've done 1776 several times, and I'm telling you, at intermission, you're going to turn to whoever you brought with you or the stranger sitting next to you and say, this is never going to happen. America is never going to happen.
Right.
These gentlemen are never going to come up with compromise. They are never going to put their names on this piece of paper, basically committing treason. So it's really, really historically accurate, as well as a dramatic retelling. And the best thing for me is, because I love comedy, it tells the story with doses of humor throughout. Because that way you learn your lessons well, and it's a great example of why we do what we do.
The characters, your actors are going to be portrayed as polarizing interests?
Of course.
Big
We
time.
have, patriots, we have moderates, we have the people who want to remain with England, we have the people who
Right.
want to break off. Again, for the first time in human history,
Right.
a colony before then had never broken off from the mother country successfully.
Right.
So basically, they are committing treason and they're starting a revolution. So to convince 30 people, it sounds a bit familiar, but I think it's going to be fascinating for people to watch what they sacrificed and how they had to compromise to bring us to where we are today.
Sounds like it would be a great show for students as well.
Absolutely. And we're offering student matinees for all of our shows next year. So there are opportunities for students to come for the minimal price of $7 a piece. And we do those matinees at 9:30 in the mornings on Thursdays and Fridays of pretty much most of our main stage runs this year.
One of the things about the Temple Theater that I'm always very impressed about is the very low cost of tickets. How you do it, the way you do it is unbelievable to me. I get that a matinee is $7 for kids, but even for adults, your ticket, whether they buy a season pass or whether they're buying individual passes, it's a fraction of what it would cost to go to an urban area.
Absolutely.
To theater.
You can see all of our 7 shows this year for the price of one ticket at our lovely roadhouses of, DPAC and Duke Energy Center.
Right.
Because my main goal is to bring quality professional theater to everybody.
Right.
And so we work very hard to keep costs down and to keep production costs at a minimum while keeping the standard of doing professional. If you got to see our production of Beauty and the Beast, I'd put that up against a professional production of that show anywhere. And again, it's corporate sponsorship and personal donations that allow us to keep those prices down so that theater is for everybody, which is one of our main goals.
Your prices are in the 20s.
Yeah.
Just to say, I'm just going to say it's in the 20s. People can go on your website and
if you buy a season pass, which again you can use, we have a 4 pass and a 7 pass. But if, say, you have a big group coming in for the holidays, you can use all 4 or all 7 for our holiday show.
Right.
And you save 20%, even off our already reduced prices.
Right. One other thing I want to say about the intimacy of the theater, and what's the seating capacity?
330.
And if the 333rd person walked in and there was one seat left in that house, would it be a good seat?
Absolutely. That's why I love the Temple. That is why I am in North Carolina. I fell in love with this physical space because you don't find it was built in 1925.
Right.
The acoustics are perfection.
Right.
And there's not a bad seat in the house.
Right.
I recently went to see a friend in a road show, and I was in the 15th row, and I still had to use binoculars.
Right.
At the Temple Theater, you do not need binoculars.
That's right.
In fact, it's one of the things that I hear the most is that people have seen a show like 1776 in a bigger venue, but they didn't feel part of it. You come to 1776 at the Temple, and you're going to be yelling back at the guys up there, the ones you agree with anyway. That's what makes it exciting for me.
I've been there, and I've sat in the back row, and there are times I've gone into conferences or CE, and I look for the back row. In the Temple Theater, if you're sitting in the back row, you're so intimate with the actors on stage that you feel like you have a front row seat.
Exactly.
You can't hide out.
Right.
It's pretty good.
And we have 230 seats downstairs, and then my favorite place to sit, honestly, is the balcony, because then you see the entire stage.
Right.
And so I always tell our actors that you can't hide in the back row on stage because I'm always upstairs watching. So
So the 1776 the musical is going to be running from the 13th through the 30th of September.
Correct.
You dust yourself off for a couple of weeks, and you come back with what?
Ghost the Musical. And that is based on the movie that starred Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze.
Right.
It's a beautiful telling of that story. I don't know if you remember the movie, but
very well.
It's got some great music as background music in the movie.
Yeah.
That shows
Yes,
up
it does.
as it's one of my favorite Broadway pop scores in recent memory. And I have assembled, I think, our highest quality singers for this production. Haley Best, who is, was Belle in Beauty and the Beast, is coming back to play the Demi Moore role.
Right.
The guy who's playing Patrick Swayze, I'm bringing in from Pittsburgh, who is a fantastic Broadway pop singer, actor. Not bad to look at either. And then the guy playing sort of the third part of this love triangle, I'm bringing in from the West Coast.
Yep.
Yeah, he's from L.A., and he was my Tony in West Side Story 2 years ago out in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
And he's always wanted to do this show, so he's flying in from L.A., and I tell you what, I'd pay a price of admission just to hear him sing a note, because he has a glorious voice. And the ensemble, the Whoopi Goldberg character,
right.
And we're doing it with 9 people. We're telling this beautiful story with 9 people, but I have assembled the best 9 singers that you've heard. So I am really excited about
the
that.
The soundtrack to Ghost was
it's
terrific.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah. And all the tears that Demi Moore cried.
Right.
Now, is Holly going to be able to muster up all those tears?
You bet.
She was always in tears.
I know.
In the entire movie.
Yeah, it's not quite that sad.
Okay.
Her character does have moments of a lot of girl power and some redemption.
Right.
But she is sad a lot,
Right. That's October the 18th through the 4th of November, just starting to get into the holiday season.
Right.
Very, very good, actually. And then, as you get into the holiday season, right after Thanksgiving.
Correct.
You roll in with one of my favorite movies of all time, It's a Wonderful Life.
Right. Well, we typically do our own musical adaptation of A Christmas Carol in 3-year increments. So we just did it the 3rd time last season. So this year we're doing something different. We will again next season. And this year I've chosen It's a Wonderful Life as a radio play, because it's a beautiful telling of the classic It's a Wonderful Life. It's basically word for word, verbatim from the movie, but it's set in a 1940s radio station. So you have multiple actors. There's one person in particular who plays the Jimmy Stewart character, but then you have other people around him playing different voices at different times. We have the kids playing the kids' part, and then throughout, since it's a radio show, we're going to do local jingles. We are going to have Christmas carols throughout, like a radio play would have been done in the 1940s. We'll have the Foley artists. There are 3 different guys back there who are making all the sound effects. So I am really excited about that one. I think it's going to be a beautiful way to remember, again, the reason for the season, and a great way to tell this classic tale.
Dorothy, how many years have you been doing this with me?
I don't know, 6, 7, something like that.
How many times have I referenced It's a Wonderful Life and the town of Bedford Falls on the show?
I'd say almost every show.
Why? Why have I? No, why do I bring it up all the time?
Because you feel that this is what,
this area.
This is the real life Bedford Falls almost.
This entire area of North Carolina reminds people of the towns they grew up in as kids. And the simplicity that movie, It's a Wonderful Life, captured. Every year, families stop. They go, oh, we have to watch it. It's on TV. And it almost becomes like just part of the holiday season. It's an exceptional movie. And the radio play should be great.
Right. Well, and I have a huge affinity for that movie as well. And I tell people that, in 2008, when the economy took a nosedive,
right,
and the temple was under threat of closing,
right,
and I always get choked up. I can't even talk about it. It's a Wonderful Life that kept our doors open.
Right.
We didn't have a golden angel who came in and gave us $1 million. It was people stopping by my office,
right,
giving me a hug,
right,
and a $20 bill.
Right.
And that's how the temple remained open. And that's why I'm still here.
My sisters would tease me all the time because I would sit there as a grown man watching Jimmy Stewart at the very end where he didn't have the money and all the neighbors came over and gave him.
Exactly.
And I'm sitting there with tears in my eyes, and my sisters are both rolling their eyes at me going, where did this guy come from? And it just touches you. That
it does.
It's about friends are more important than money.
That's right.
And
the strength
what's a
of
person's
community.
true value.
Right. And I think that's the temple's role in this Central Carolina area, is that we should be a place, and we are a place where people come together, where they're accepted for who they are, where if you need help, we'll help you. If we need help, you'll help us. And it's that give and take that allows me to be so passionate and to be so committed because I believe in that.
Right. We're going to get the Kleenex right now, and we're going to come back in the third set. This is All Things Moore County, talking with Artistic Director Peggy Taphorn of the Temple Theater. Welcome back. I'm talking too much in the breaks.
Yes, you are.
And I wasn't paying attention. We're back with Peggy Taphorn, the Artistic Director at the Temple Theater. Peggy, there's a lot of stuff to talk about in this last set. Some of the productions. We just finished talking about It's a Wonderful Life, and we've wiped our tears temporarily.
Exactly. So now we're going to go for some laughs.
Okay.
Because we are kicking
you.
off 2019 with The Church Basement Ladies. We had such a huge hit, box office record-setting production of The Church Basement Ladies last year that we're bringing them back for a second helping.
Okay.
And I'm very pleased to say I've got the whole cast, original cast, signed on to join us again. And that one's going to be in January through February 3rd. And then we're following that with another comedy. This one is the longest-running comedy in France. Any guesses?
Are there comedies in France?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's called Boeing Boeing, and it's basically a modern-day farce. The premise is there's an airline pilot who just happens to find himself engaged to 3 women at the same time.
Nice.
As one does. I'm sure it was a mistake on his part. But all of a sudden, Boeing comes up with a faster jet, and there's a snowstorm, and this lovely pilot finds himself in the same place at the same time with all 3 of his fiancées.
Nice.
So, of course, hilarity ensues. Then we're following that with, again, a show I've wanted to produce at the Temple for a long time, and we just didn't have the production capabilities, and now we have advanced enough so that we can produce Big River. It is based on the writings of Mark Twain, and it basically follows Huck and Big Jim on myriad epic adventures down the mighty Mississippi. And it also has one of the most beautiful scores. But this one, as opposed to Ghost, which is kind of that Broadway pop sound, this is bluegrass, folk, country, gospel, and it just brings in all that great music. And again, I've hired a stellar multiracial, multi-generational cast to bring that tale to life. So I'm excited about Big River. And then we are ending our season with everybody's favorite, Grease.
Yep.
Because, again, we have so many kids around, and I'm bringing in young professionals to play the leads, but then it'll be rounded out by our own teen ensemble. So bringing it full circle back to those teen auditions, we have youth opportunities next season. Those auditions, again, are September 15th for It's a Wonderful Life, the radio play, for Big River, and for Grease. So if kids are interested in auditioning, they should go to our website, sign online, and I'll see them on September 15th.
So these kids can come in and audition to actually be in the
to
production?
be in the shows, yes.
That is so cool.
Exactly. And it's great for me to watch them get training that's different from the training you get in school.
Okay.
You know, they're working with professionals. They're being directed and choreographed and musical directed by professionals. They get the main stage experience with all the bells and whistles. And we put our shows together in either, you know, if it's a giant show like Grease, we have a whole 3 weeks of rehearsal. For the smaller shows like Big River, they only have 10 days of rehearsal. So you learn a lot, you absorb a lot, you participate a lot, and then you get to do the show.
Yeah. When you were talking about Big River, you said something about now that you have the production capabilities.
Right.
What did you mean?
Well, you need, in my mind, again, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I don't want to produce a show that we can't do well.
Okay.
And so you have to be able to float a raft. Theatrically, of course, we're not going to fill the theater with water.
Okay.
But we are going to make it look like the raft is floating, and I'm not giving away the theater magic.
Okay.
But it's going to be pretty magical.
Okay.
If all goes according to plan. You know, we'll see. But we have the design, we have the capability, we can afford to produce it, so we're going to go for it.
Okay. This is did you say your 11th year?
Yes.
If you had your druthers, what would you say to me if you were sitting here a year from today, and your season is now in the books?
Yes.
What would you like to say that has happened in the last year?
Well, of course, as the producer, I would love to say we set new box office records and attendance records. And I mentioned earlier that we brought in 41,000 people. My magic number is I want to bring in 50,000 people. And from 63 counties currently, our long-term goal, which is not so long-term, is to bring in people from all 100 counties in North Carolina and to just keep expanding. Our challenge these days is space.
Right.
For these summer programs, for our academy classes, for our rehearsal space. So the number one issue that we desperately need is a new warehouse where we can functionally build these great sets for Big River and Ghost and It's a Wonderful Life and Grease. So the biggest thing I'd like to say next year is that we now have a great new warehouse. So we've freed up a lot more classroom space on site at the temple.
Right.
And we're serving even more people than we ever have in the past.
Talk to me a little bit about your reach into Moore County, because we have a guest sitting here with us as well, Gene Maples, who is from Moore County.
Right.
But that's been something you've been working on over the last couple of years.
Exactly. Well, in previous years, actually before I got here, we drew about 40% of our audience from Moore County. And then demographically things shifted, and it's actually one of the reasons we now do 3 matinees a week is because, it took me actually 28 minutes to get here from the temple to the studio.
Right.
And I was going mostly the speed limit.
Okay.
But I know some people still don't like to drive in the evenings.
Right.
So this way we offer the Thursday, Friday, and Sunday matinees. So the shows start at 2, they're over by 4:15.
Right.
You have plenty of time to go somewhere for dinner and get home before it's dark.
Right.
And the appeal for, I think, Moore County residents is that it's so close and it's so affordable for a professional quality, show where you feel you're part of the intimate setting.
Right.
So you feel like you're part of the production. You feel like you're part of something. I know Gene and I talk all the time about the first time he got to the temple and felt that energy. And you can address that if you want, Gene. And then he was hooked. Now Gene is one of our biggest supporters and cheerleaders down here in Moore County because he wants more people, more of his friends down here and people he doesn't know, strangers on the street, to experience that joy that he gets sitting in the audience with friends, meeting new people, getting out of the house and coming to celebrate with us at the temple.
But he's a man of very few words, so we want to get him to break out of his shell just a little bit.
Bill, I was... I fell in love with the Temple Theater, I think the first production I ever saw there. I take people there as guests who have seen some of these productions in New York and Chicago, other places all over the world.
Right.
And they are instantly spellbound that what they are seeing there, the spirit that lives in the Temple Theater.
That's right.
The intimacy of the thing, you are interactive with the cast on stage.
Right.
And they will say to me, wow, this is better than what I saw in New York.
Right.
My goal is that everyone in Moore County and the surrounding counties are as excited and as enthusiastic about the Temple Theater as I am.
Yeah.
Then all of the rest of that will come.
Right.
The increased donor levels, the increased awareness, the increased opportunities, the passionate, living, breathing board members will come forward. Those are the sorts of community support that we have to have as a nonprofit professional theater.
Right.
Right. And again, that allows us to keep our prices down, which does make the theater inclusive for everybody. Right. Especially those students who get to come for $7.
It's crazy affordable. I'm originally from New York, and I've loved going to Broadway shows. I can't get over spending $245 for a ticket and I'm not cheap for 2 hours of entertainment. And yes, it's great. It's a once in a lifetime thing. I'm going to repeat, $245 for a 2-hour show.
Right. So instead of a once in a lifetime experience, you can have a once a month experience at the temple all year round
Right.
and still not spend $240.
Right.
Because I know Gene is a huge fan of our special events.
Yep.
So it's another thing that I've really put some emphasis on at the temple. So not only do we do all these 7 wonderful main stage productions,
Yep.
but we do special events. And coming up just in the next couple of months, we are doing on August 17th the Country Cool Comedy Tour, which are 3 women who are hysterical. They've been on TV, they've been on radio, a lot of serious radio and the comedy station. So check them out, Country Cool Comedy Tour. We're screening the Rocky Horror Picture Show in August on the 18th. We're doing a Kenny Rogers and Friends, and his friends are, people like Patsy Cline, Homage, as well as other people, and they're doing a salute to the troops on September 18th.
Mm-hmm.
We have a tribute to the Statler brothers coming up in September, and the list goes on and on. We're adding a Beach Boys tribute band coming up in November. November's also bringing the Embers and Sweet Potato Pie. So if theater's not your bag,
Right.
but live music is, again, you can't get a better venue with
Right.
that beautiful original pressed tin ceiling.
And
The acoustics are
the acoustics,
fabulous for
right.
concerts like that.
Right. I want to put in a request for a show.
Okay.
Jersey Boys.
I love Jersey Boys. It's not licensable yet.
See how I'm whispering it?
Why are you whispering?
Because I don't want to put you on the spot. I love the movie. I love the play.
I do too.
There's so many people here who grew up in the '60s and knew the Four Seasons.
Sure.
I think it would be a smash, but it's
I
all
do
about
too.
timing, right?
It's still touring. And one
I
of
can
our
tell them to stop.
You can tell. Well, please do.
Yeah.
One of our disadvantages, which is also an advantage of Sanford, is that we are so centrally located.
Yeah.
So that if a tour is still out and it goes to Greensboro, to the Crown Center in Fayetteville, to DPAC, Progress Energy, I can't get the rights.
Gotcha.
So once it stops touring,
Okay.
I'll get it. It's the one I'm trying to get, and which I have gotten, but it's a secret, for very soon, not this year, but soon, is Mamma Mia. But that's doing a 1-week stop, and so I can't get it this year, but I'll get it next year.
That'll be a big hit as well.
Yeah.
That'll be a big hit as well.
And again, fun shows like that, I can't wait to bring to this audience. Because you can see it, you can see that and 6 other shows for what you'd pay to see with binoculars somewhere else.
Yeah. Gene, doing the show now for 9 years, I've gotten exposed to students over the last 9 years that I was not exposed to when I was in school because I was a jock. I didn't pay attention to any of it. Today, all I see are these courageous kids that come in here and talk about their discipline, and they talk about their craft and their life lessons. And these are kids that I didn't even know existed when I was their age. So between Peggy, between what's going on in the arts around here, we've got to get her integrated somehow in our Moore County school system, somehow, some way.
If I had one love other than this lady and her enthusiasm in the Temple Theater, it is the youth programs.
Right.
And the self-confidence that generates in the children. It gives them the confidence that they never dreamed of, and
That's
they will
right.
carry that throughout their lives.
That's what she was talking about in the first set, and you weren't even here, so I know
Exactly.
you guys didn't compare notes.
And Gene brings his friends and family with him on opening nights. And one of my joys on every opening night is that our Temple Teen Troupe, which is a touring troupe, it's available free of charge to any civic church group who wants them to entertain. They do a half-hour show that celebrates the Temple season, and then they do a special holiday show. They do a Valentine's Day show. So that's another way that we offer these teens in particular a great learning experience, because I send them out with no one to guard them or protect them than themselves, and they go out and do great jobs throughout the community.
Yeah, Peggy, as always, it's great to have you on. We love talking about the Temple Theater on the show. This season is a main stage season, and it's they're commemorating a lot of stories from our past.
Right.
And you can go online, and this brochure that I'm looking at will come to life at templeshows.com. Tickets can be bought online at that site, or you can call the box office at 919-774-4155. And in particular, ask about some of the season plans, because they are, not only are they a good value, but the interchangeable quality of them offers a lot of flexibility to people.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks, Bill.
Good
it's great
luck.
to be here.
Good luck. Gene, thanks for coming and joining us.
Absolutely, Bill. Thank you.
You've adopted her over these years, I think. Have you not?
I think we've adopted each other. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Temple Theater is one of this area's most iconic institutions, and we just hope all the new people moving into town, as well as the people who have lived here, will get a chance to see what an intimate theater really looks like. This is All Things Moore County. Have a great week.